Hey, Dr. Big Ed, your guitar pedal shrink back again. I wanted to talk about one thing as a little addendum to episode 1, which I was talking about delays and other stuff. I think there's an important aspect, a little variance on delays that's kind of important. And that is, and not necessarily for all delays, although a lot of classic delays, a lot of the ones that are revered, had preamp sections, right? The Echoplex preamp, we all know, people used it not even for the delay, just to goose their signal a little bit because it just gave it that little something. There was a little EQ thing and a little grit going on. Well, even some digital delays had some really cool preamps. I mean, the one I'm known most for is the PCM42, the Lexicon PCM42. And that had a very unique preamp limiter system built into it that during the 90s became kind of well known for not using it for the delay, for turning the input all the way up, the output all the way down, and just using it for that preamp. So, really briefly, I want to talk to you about a couple things. So, this is the Peter Clinch Effects EP pre, right? And he makes a smaller version that's an always-on version called the Pico pre. It's always on because it just doesn't have a switch, right? So these two suckers, I have 4 of them, so I have one for every board. And the always on is fine for me because it's always on. However, so really quick, I've tried a bunch of these. There are several preamps on the market, a lot of which are based around the Echoplex preamp. They're all a little different. A couple of them are really good. This one's the best in my opinion. I turned my buddy Henry Kaiser onto it, who was using another one that I had been using that we both liked a great deal. There was nothing wrong with it. But as soon as we both tried the EP pre by Clinch Effects, we were like, whoa. And that's because, you can read up about this on Peter Clinch's website, but there's a reason that Peter is the only one who's actually authentically recapturing every facet of that circuit. Now, Peter has the switch on the back. So that's the bright switch and the dark switch. I think the dark is the later version and the bright is the earlier version. That has a lot of effect depending on your rig. So depending on your pickups, your amp, whatever other pedals are in line. And we're going to talk about pedal chains a lot in the future because the way pedals interact with each other are not always logical or what you would expect. So this is the key. That's why it's important that this has a bright and a dark switch because it will change. Another thing that'll change is I notice with certain fuzzes like a preamp after it better than others. My clean signal always has this on, or if it's always on, like with the Pico pre, I have fuzzes in line that behave with it. So that's why the dark bright switch is kind of important because you want to be able to have that option tailor to your specific rig. Now, whether it's the Clinch Effects or any of the other multitude of preamps, I would suggest listening to a lot of demos. They all feel different. They all have a different texture and character to them, so it's difficult to find out what works with your rig. Some of them add too much bass. Clinch Effects doesn't. I think it adds just the right bumps in the right spot. There's a couple other good ones that kind of add and not overwhelmingly in the right places. But all those classic delays, a lot of the ones that we revere had a preamp section. So if you want to turn your delay game up a little bit, try it. You know, maybe you have a friend who has one that you can borrow one. Again, they're all vastly different. You will notice that. But if you want to up your delay game, putting a preamp before, sometimes after, play with that. I'm not going to tell you which one's better. That's your decision. I prefer it before. But having a preamp, a really special, unique, well-designed preamp before your delay or after your delay or in conjunction with your delay can really change your experience. You'll notice it a lot on the repeats, especially. And you might like it. I know that none of them are grossly expensive at all. So it's worth trying. Don't go down too far of a rat hole with it, though. You know, if you want to just ask Peter Clinch some questions, for example, he's the nicest guy on the planet. He'll love to give you all the rundown on what to expect. But if you can get other ones, try. But that'll up your delay game a little bit, I think. I think you'll notice a pleasant addition, and it'll be on your repeats specifically, and a little bit of grit on the signal as well. And what it allows me to do is use less gain before it, and it just kind of tailors it a little after. That's what I've found. Anyway, thanks for listening. That's my little piece. If you have any other questions about delay preamps, I've tried like 7 or 8 of these suckers, maybe more. I don't know. Write it below. All right, see ya.